This is Al from Albopepper.com, and today I'm at the Penn Hills Community Garden. I got a plot here this year, and I'm going to be planting garlic for the upcoming season. So let's take a look and see how I'm going to set this up. So I've stepped inside of the community garden area. This has a lot of plots, a lot of raised beds that have been set up and made available to people in the surrounding area. They can come in here and plant just such a variety of crops, whatever it is that they really would like to grow. The raised bed setup is really good for segmenting an area, being able to keep weeds a little bit more manageable, having of course good drainage and designated walkways between all the different plots. So you can put down some sort of a ground cover using mulch to keep down weeds. For a community garden, it's a great simple way to be able to do this. Here is the plot that I inherited, and what I've decided to do is exclusively use it for garlic. Garlic, I think, doesn't require nearly as much maintenance as other plants may, so that's why I decided to go for that. If I don't happen to get here as frequently as I might like to, I know that that's going to be holding up better than other types of things, and the harvest period is a little bit more manageable as well. I've pulled up the plastic, and now I've sprinkled in my fertilizer that I'm going to be mixing into this soil. I don't have to supplement it a lot, but I wanted to put in some organic all-purpose fertilizer, some green sand, some azomite, some fish bone meal, and a few other things as well. And I'm going to mix those all in, and then I'll be ready to plant my garlic. Some quick information on planting garlic. The first thing you need to be aware of is that if you're going to do it right, in the fall is when you actually put your garlic in the ground that's going to be harvested the next season in the summer. Maybe in your area now it's spring and you're like, I want to have garlic this year. Well, you've really missed the boat for this season, but you can plan ahead and be ready for the next season. At this point here, I have everything that I need. I got my garlic, and I had bulbs, but just last night I broke those bulbs into cloves. I didn't peel any of the skin off of the clove. I tried to keep it as whole as I could and didn't damage it, but I did separate it because each of these cloves is what actually becomes your entire bulb for the next year whenever your garlic is mature, and that's what you harvest. So one clove yields one bulb. So if you have a bulb that has 6 cloves, the output of that could potentially be 6 nice sized bulbs if you do it right. One of the first things you need to be aware of is the spacing. You want to space these out far enough that they can really grow to their full potential. Now, it is true that you could kind of squeeze them together, try to get them in more of a tight planting, and I've done that and had reasonable success. But once you get 6-inch spacing or more, that's when you start to get a better size. Ideally, some will even recommend 8 inches. So rather than 4 inches every garlic, shoot for more like 8 inches. That would be optimum. And of course you can have it a little bit tighter if you want, but once you get smaller and tighter, the bulb size is reduced. So I'm going to be marking out my holes, and then whenever I'm ready to plant them, I'm going to put the garlic into one of the holes with the pointy side up, and you can see this is where the roots had grown, and so that side is down. That way the roots can go down. This is going to turn into a stem that pops up out of the soil, and so that's pointed the right direction. Now at the very top of this pointy stem on the clove, you want to have 2 inches of soil above that. So what I have is my trusty digging implement, and I marked here 2 inches. So once this garlic clove is down in the soil, I can put this above that, and the soil level should be right here, giving me 2 inches. So if I use this as a gauge, I can get proper spacing, proper depth, and have the best yield for the next season. I want to show you one other thing that I'm using to help me to expedite this process, since I'm losing so much time making this video. What I have is a quick little template that I made using some cardboard here, and I actually measured out a grid, and I'm using 7.5-inch spacing because this is a 4-foot by 12-foot bed, and that actually worked out perfectly. And so I did this grid, found the center, put a hole. So each of these holes allows me to mark out where I'm going to be digging for my garlic cloves. You can lay that down. I have some little marking things that I can just put this on the soil and just put that right down into the hole, and then lift up the template, move it down, and just go down the whole length of the bed. So let's get to it. Here you can see, you can just lay this down in the soil and put in your little markers. And then continue on. I have my first few rows plotted out. This is great because now I can see, okay, yeah, I have a nice spacing, nice grid arrangement, and as I go along and plant each clove, I can pull one of these out, set it aside, put the clove in, and I can easily keep track of where I've been and where I need to go. And if you don't want to have a million of these little stakes, these little markers, you can just have a smaller quantity and do several rows at a time, and then after you've got those planted, then mark out more and just keep going down the bed. And I think I'm going to try it that way. So now let's look at planting a clove. So I'm going to pick my spot. Dig down in a little bit. Push my clove in. And then I can kind of see just a little bit as to where the top of that is. Now I want to check to see how my depth is, and it looks like I have about 2 inches, so that's pretty good. Now I can cover it over a little bit. And that's it. Now I just have to do this 100 more times.